Hey, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, on over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. He's back by popular demand based out of Toronto. He's coming from the area, which emphasized a lot of great Canadian rock. We had him on the show before, and also members of the band. They played Holding the Gun, Summer Nights, Take It All, So Forgiving, Burn as more too. And he also worked at Gilby Clarke, formerly of Guns N' Roses, and also worked on their debut album. They got some brand new material out as well too, and he'll play live, and we'll play the audio version of their new song in the audio version of the Mike Wagner Show. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plush Studios in beautiful Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, back by popular demand, Brandon Gregory of Drop Top Alibi. Hey, Brandon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us once again.
Hey, my pleasure, Mike. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, it's great to have you back. I mean, I was just so impressed with talking to you last time, and you have a new song out called Eyes for You. You've been working on new material since the pandemic, and you've also worked at Gilby Clarke and Guns N' Roses, and you've been doing this for quite some time, since 2016. You worked with Dylan Wykes as well, too, and you've been very popular in Toronto. Of course, that's before the pandemic, and during the pandemic, I'm sure you're still popular in Toronto. And once again, before we get into some new music and what's been happening, tell us once again quickly how you got started.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, we've been at it a while. Dylan and I, we met like right out of high school, and we basically just kind of stuck together. Different iterations, different writing, different bands, different sounds. And it wasn't until we did the stuff with Gilby that we had Jeff play drums for us during that session. We were able to steal him from his band about a year later. And during those sessions, we met the dude who introduced us to Luke, and that was our bassist. So by the time 2018 rolled around, we had a solid 4-piece lineup.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, you talked about working with Gilby Clarke. And once again, how'd you meet up with Gilby Clarke?
We had a guy back in the day who was sort of, he was helping kind of manage us a little bit. He's like old friends with Gilby. I haven't spoken to the dude for a while. I'm not sure if those two still talk. But what happened was he helped us kind of get our first EP going, which had like Burn and So Forgiving on it. And he pulled us into the room and he said, "You guys are really good. Like, would you be comfortable sending these demos to Gilby Clarke?" And I was just like, I mean, like, whatever, you can do that, sure. And he did. And yeah, and it was one of those, Gilby's at the point where he does what he wants to, right? So he heard the demos and he liked it. And he had a tour in Ontario happening that fall. So what he basically did was he liked us enough that he flew in about a week early, and we went to the studio for 3 days, and we cut Holding the Gun, and then he went on the road.
Wow, so it was all done in 3 days with Gilby Clarke?
That's correct, yeah. Metalworks Studio in Toronto.
Wow, that is something. 3 days. I mean, I guess they really did like you. And did you by any chance get to open up for Gilby Clarke by any chance too, or is it just Gilby in the studio?
On that run he did, we were on one of the shows, yes. But the following year when he came back, we did the full run with him, and that was a wild time, man. That was a lot of fun. At that point, we had already worked together. We were friends. We went and visited him in LA earlier that year and hung out with him and his family. So by the time he came back to tour and we were on all the shows, oh, it was great, man. In the green room, hanging out, chatting with EJ. The drummer that he was using for that tour was a guy who played in a couple of really popular Canadian bands, a guy named Dustin. Actually, I think he played drums for 6 a.m. too. Nikki Sixx recommended him.
Wow.
Just like hanging out with that guy was cool, man. And yeah, Gilby's awesome. Like whether it's 100 people or 100,000 people, like it's the same dude. And that's just what you can learn off of somebody like that is just absolutely incredible.
And you also open up as well too with Theory of a Dead Man, I Mother Earth and all the others as well too. And tell us about some of the bands and who was your favorite that you opened up for?
Yeah, I mean those are cool. I mean, we won a big iHeartRadio like Battle of the Bands contest in the spring of 2019. So as a result of that, we got some commercial airplay and we got to do a couple of opening slots. The opening slot we won, the big one, was with I Mother Earth and Finger 11, which was awesome. It was like a 10,000 person open air festival. We got to play with them. That was killer. And then just the pedigree we earned from that performance. We were able to secure spots with bands like Royal Tusk and Theory of a Dead Man. Theory of a Dead Man is actually the last show we played before the lockdown happened. So.
And who was the name again before the lockdown? I didn't catch that.
We had Royal Tusk, and Theory of a Dead Man was the last show we played before the quarantine.
Oh my goodness. It's almost like putting on the brakes as well too. And we'll find out what you guys did during the pandemic. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. You can also check out the Mike Wagner Show on any computer as well, too. We're here with Brandon Gregory from Drop Top Alibi here on the Mike Wagner Show. Yeah, you can watch on your computer as well, too. It's like no matter what year it is. So, and of course, you know, you produce a lot of music. And what are you guys doing during the pandemic? I hope you guys weren't going crazy and beating each other up.
Well, it was quite the opposite, Mike. I would have loved to have gone for with a few rounds with each one of the guys, man. Like, it was that much distance, you know? I would have been like, sure, let's get together, but we have to fight. Like, I would have taken that over the 3 months of not seeing them. You know what I mean? So, but in the digital age we live in technology, we were productive. We had a 25-date cross-Canada tour that was going to take place a month after the Theory of a Dead Man show. That obviously got canceled. So what that tour was supposed to be was not only us getting across the country finally, but it was also going to be 5 weeks in a van with 25 songs to work on. So what we did during quarantine was we did the best we could, recording our own demos, sending them back and forth. And then once things started to lift a little bit here, and those, you know, bubbles and stuff started expanding, we started getting together, and we're neck deep in pre-production and demoing and getting ready for an EP or an LP for next year, whatever, you know, it'll come down to cost, how many songs we do, but we got plenty that we're working on right now.
You also have a new song called Eyes for You as well, too. Is that going to be a part of a new EP coming out sometime next year?
You know what, truthfully, Mike, probably not. Last year, we got to work with a dude named Michael Hansen. He was the original drummer in Glass Tiger. And he co-produced 3 singles for us, and that was Summer Nights, Take It All in Stride, and Eyes for You. And we were kind of up in the air. Are we going to cut these as a 7-inch? Are we going to put them together as an EP, maybe a bonus track? And then the iHeartRadio thing happened, and it just made more sense to release singles. So seeing as there's such a dead stop in the road space because of world events, we're probably just going to start fresh and start clean. It'll be all new music for next year.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, if you were to work on a brand new EP, would it be like the same style, the same material you've been using, or are you going to lean towards more something a little bit more progressive, like, say, you talk stories or breakups or meets, or say with like talking about history? It's like, are you going to keep with the same style, or what kind of changes are you looking to do, if any?
Well, I mean, as far as sonically, like our style, it'll what we've been working on is pretty in line with some of the stuff we've released. You know, nothing's really heavier than Eyes for You. But, you know, stuff that gets upbeat like Burn and really groovy and crunchy like Summer Nights. And as far as subject matter goes, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, you know, we've always been a band that talks about personal events or, events that are meaningful to us. Like Eyes for You, for example, is addiction to mental health. But, a song like Burn is about an old girlfriend because, hell yeah, that was inspiring too, right? For
Uh-huh.
the next batch of songs, I mean, there's definitely some isolation vibes. There's definitely some here we are now stuck, stagnant without any certainty and with the proof that everything we've worked for can just disappear and no one cares. You
Yep.
know, especially, with governments not really funding the arts, especially on this continent and stuff. So there's a lot of like uncertainty and like coming of age. The age we're all, we're all in our mid and late 20s. It's like, okay, if we can't get this shit rolling sooner than later, like, where's everyone's heads going to be at? What's everyone going to want to do? So it's a lot of like introspective stuff. Trying to avoid talking about COVID, but it's also hard to talk about going to the beach and having, getting a day drink on. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see.
And I'll tell you one thing, I'm actually glad we're doing interviews like this because I am sick and tired of putting a mask on. If I try and put on a mask, it's like no one will be able to hear me. It's like, like that. So it's like, you can't breathe and everything else. You talked as well, too, earlier, in our last interview that you had the different music laws, music regulations in Canada and the U.S. And maybe just give us a rundown once again, the difference between having like the music regulations laws in Canada, compare that to the U.S. And since the pandemic, has that any of it changed?
I don't think anything's changed, no. But basically, what it is the CRTC, I think it's called. It's basically, per every hour of, on air minutes, you have to have a certain amount of them be Canadian artists. So on the one hand, that's been great for, a lot of bands who maybe perhaps wouldn't have been able to make it without these regulations. But on the other hand, there's like a ton of great American bands I never heard of until I lived in Windsor, which is the border city of Detroit, because we could pick up all the old Detroit stations, right? So
one of my favorite cities, yes, one of my favorites. I've been meaning to go to Detroit, live there, and hop over to Windsor. I've been wanting to do that. That's another on the bucket list.
yeah. Oh man, if you ever find yourself in Windsor, there's I forget what it's called. Maybe Bridge Ribs or something. There's a rib place in Windsor right by the casino that is to die for.
Oh my goodness. That it will be another subject. If we're on a Food Network, we have to talk ribs. I mean, you're hitting another spot. And thank God for podcasts. We can just branch off into other things, talking ribs and everything else. It's like, I'm in for ribs. You are making me hungry.
Oh man, you won't miss it. If you walk by it, you can see right into the kitchen, and it's just panels, like 8x4 panels of just ribs cooking on these racks, man. You can't miss it.
Oh my goodness. It's like I'm ready to pack my bags after this and head over there. Oh my goodness. And we'll also have you play a tune for us in just a minute, and maybe I can call somebody for ribs. Hey, give me some ribs, will ya? But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com. It's powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device, no matter what year it is. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. Yeah, even that device, as Brandon is telling you about. So even go back 30 years, you can still listen to the Mike Wagner Show. And of course, speaking of, our guests as well, too, Brandon Gregory from Drop Top Alibi, welcoming back. And, just great to talk to the first time around. Even better the second time, especially have some ribs. And of course, you got your guitar ready to go. And perhaps you can play one of the tunes for us on the Mike Wagner Show. Tell us more about it.
All right. Well, I might as well play the new song. This one's called Eyes for You. If you haven't heard it yet, hope you like it. And if you have, you're going to notice that I'm not playing it nearly as loud or crunchy as it is because I am one man and one guitar. So here it is, an acoustic stripped down version of our latest Eyes for You. costly habits and your broken will. Conceptual bodies gotta get your nightly fill. Eyes for you like a pretty little cover girl. Eyes for you like the push man rules the world. There's a monster under the bed, so they sleep on the floor. Now the monster won't be alone no more. Crawl into the arms of his bleeding hands. Crawl into the arms of a righteous man. Governing bodies and darkness pass the blame around. Killing you softly and generations sold by the pound. Eyes for you so the world will come around. Eyes for you because of shaking under your brow. Crawl into the arms of his bleeding hands. Crawl into the arms of a righteous man. Crawl into the arms of his bleeding hands. Crawl into the arms of a righteous man. Crawl into the arms of his bleeding hands. Crawl into the arms of a righteous man.
That is fantastic. Once again, nice for you, the acoustic version. Brandon Gregory from Drop Top Alibi. Very excellent, Brandon, as well, here on the Mike Wagner Show. Once again, tell us more about that song and what inspired you to write it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, that song, I've had that main riff for a couple years, and it got demoed out a while back. And when we were collaborating on what songs to do with Hanson, it found its way into the pre-production pool again. We finalized the arrangement. We added a cool extended midsection, which we'll be releasing soon. And it just worked with the final lineup of having Jeff and Luke in the band. That song finally came together, and it was the crunchy edge we wanted to add to the project. Lyrically, I mean, I was inspired by, my own sort of, mental health and addiction stuff. And then knowing people over the years who have had issues with opiates, and then the fentanyl thing that became a huge problem. There was a summer in Toronto where in one weekend in a neighborhood that we were in partying, 27 people OD'd and died.
Oh my goodness.
So we were literally a couple of decisions different than 27 people, and we made it through that weekend in that neighborhood. And that really was just man, you got to be good at making bad decisions sometimes, and that sort of eerie moment was, it inspired And then you get into, like, I'm a history major. I went to school, and so I know how to, like, get obsessed about stuff and dig into it. And for me, it's just baffling that all of this stuff is legal. So I started looking into that stuff, and then just sort of my own creative spin on how to just, like, a Cole's Note version of what happened, you know, 90s and early 2000s. And that's kind of how Eyes for You came.
Right, exactly. And of course, we'll talk about that epidemic as well too. And once again, Brandon Gregory from Drop Top Alibi and the Mike Wagner Show. And where can we find your song "Eyes for You" and other tunes like "Holding His Gun," "Summer Nights," "Burn," and more? Where can we find those?
Well, our website, droptopalibi.com, has got all our social media and streaming links, but on Spotify, on Instagram, Apple Music, just at Drop Top Alibi, all one word, lowercase letters. You'll find us there.
Sounds great. And also, too, besides writing new material for 2020, what else can we expect from you for this year and next year and beyond?
Well, next year there's definitely going to be something new. We're gonna go into the hole and kind of shut out for a little bit soon, and get this record done and figure out how we're going to do it in terms of production and all that stuff. Start tone chasing. Once you start tone chasing and the songs are written, it's time to disappear for a few months. So that's happening. But we may or may not have a little tidbit. We may or may not have a parting gift with some songs before we go in the hole. But it's September now, so keep your eyes open for now and your ears open. But we will be going into the hole soon.
Definitely, we will do that. Looking forward to what you got. And once again, who are your biggest influences in your career?
Oh, man. I mean, Chris Cornell is up there. Everything he did, Soundgarden, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, Tony Iommi, Aerosmith, Zeppelin, Tragically Hip, shout out to Canada, Jane's Addiction, love it, and Lemmy. We play rock and roll, and I dare you to define what that means.
I remember Lemmy, good old Motorhead. I remember that.
Yeah.
And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Oh, man. I had this line figured out last year when we met and we spoke, but it's been such a cluster year. Just be cautious. If you're a young artist, everybody's got something that benefits them by helping you. So make sure you agree to a good deal, agree to a good trade-off, because there's always going to be one.
Right, exactly. And those are good points to have as well, too. Once again, Brandon Gregory from Drop Top Alibi, returning to Mike Wagner Show. Brandon, a very big thank you for your time once again. You're always fantastic. Got to look forward to having you in soon. Bring some ribs this time, some new music. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact you, where can people purchase or listen to your music?
Well, when things get better, Mike, we'll have to have a Windsor, Detroit party, and we'll hang out in person. We'll get some ribs. We'll go to the casino, and then maybe go catch the Red Wings play.
Only if they play the Blackhawks. That's when I'll go. I'm kidding.
Before they tore down the Joe Louis, I went and saw the Red Wings and Blackhawks play in like 2012, man. What a game. What a game.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic. It's like I've never been to Joe Louis Arena. I did hear a lot of stories. And, having Chicago fans come to Joe Louis and you got the Red Wing fans coming to the Chicago Stadium. It's like, I remember those days. But, that'll be another subject, too, if we do a podcast on hockey, ribs, and what else can we talk? So, but anyway, how can people contact you? Where can people purchase or listen to your music?
DropTopAlibi.com has got everything. At Drop Top Alibi, all one word, lowercase letters, pretty much gets you across our streaming and our social media. Send us a message. I manage the accounts personally, so does Dylan and Jeff. So if you message us, one of us will get back to you.
Sounds great. Once again, Brandon Gregory from Drop Top Alibi, a very big thank you for your time. As always, you're fantastic. Looking forward to having you in soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on sometime this year, next year. Like I said, bring the ribs, and we're going to have some more fun. Just keep us up to date.
Sounds good, Mike. Thank you for having me, man. We'll talk soon.